So here we go. We are going into Manhood Hour, and we have a super, super special guest, two special guests, my brother, my literal brother, Rocco, and his father, Ted Nugent. Amazing.
Hassan, do you have us?
Yes. Can you see me?
I can see you and hear you. We have audio technical liftoff. The spirit is unleashed. Let her rip.
Man, the Holy Spirit is here. Thank you guys so much. This is like unbelievably, like, I'm so thankful and grateful. This is like unreal. Thank you so much.
Well, our pleasure, Hassan, and Rocco and I are here to celebrate truth, logic, and common sense in the great Jesse Peterson continuum. And there is more positive spirit and energy across America than negativity. So we will maximize that while identifying the beast at the door, hopefully eliminating and neutralizing the beast at the door with positive spirit and energy and attitude. We have unlimited all of the above.
Amazing. Wow. Couldn't have said it better. So this is my first time hosting a show, and, I'm guest hosting for Jesse, and I've been just been waking up to a lot of different things through Jesse and through coming to church and, different spiritual things. And me and Rocco have had spiritual conversations our entire, brotherhood over the years. And this is Manhood Hour. So I thought it'd be amazing to have the conversation about, because Jesse's main thing is rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man, and how important it is for the father and the son dynamic, and, that being God and Christ and the son and the father and everything. So, and there were so many amazing things that I went and did after encountering Jesse. I actually went and forgave my mother. I went and forgave my father for being weak and marrying his mother, a lot of different things. So, and just kind of returning back to the father and being able to look at my father through just my own lens and not through my mother's lens. I would always look at my dad through my mother's lens. So being able to understand that, and so just be able to have a conversation, with you guys and everything that's going on right now, just to kind of see what you think about what's going on. So the first thing, obviously, I guess with this whole Russia-Ukraine mess.
Well, would you like me to opine? I can tell you, I've talked to actual boots on the ground, Ukrainian citizens and residents there that have a real Kalashnikov slung over their shoulder that are facing the beast. And I can tell you this, that if Nancy Pelosi and our government, this is very painful for me to say this because I love the United States of America, but horrifically, all the evidence is inescapable unless you have your head terminally up your butt, that the United States government is the enemy of the United States. It hurts to say that because I love an experiment in self-government. This is the only one. I know that the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Ten Commandments, the Golden Rule are all self-evident truths that reside powerfully, unmovable in our instinct, in our spirit, our soul, our conscious, our subconscious, our intellectual adventure. And if our government stands up and gives Zelensky a standing ovation, then it's unquestionable that Zelensky is a bad guy. We know Putin is a bad guy, but I'm afraid that in this horrible time in March of 2022, that is horrible and tyrannical and genocidal and rotten that Vladimir Putin is, I'm afraid Zelensky is worse. I'm afraid the United States government, by all evidence, might even be worse because our government has created biochemical labs in Ukraine. Our own so-called president has a relationship with the gangsters, money laundering, we believe allegedly, even child sex trafficking through his punk-ass criminal monster son, Hunter Biden. And the relationship with our government and the Ukraine underworld, may be one of the most horrific crimes against humanity in the history of the world. That painful, ugly statement I just made, we must be able to compartmentalize. And as you opened up, Hassan, God, family, country, Constitution, Bill of Rights, 10 Commandments, golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's the mantra of Rocco and I, Rocco's siblings, my wonderful wife, Shemaine, my band, my crew, my hunting buddies, my neighbors, everybody we work with is very positive. We know that there's a dangerous rabid dog at the door, and it seems to be a rabid pack of dogs at the door, where our society now is celebrating the worst elements of mankind, while the core population of America continues to put their heart and soul into being the best that they can be, getting up early, making sacrifices, taking risks, doing everything necessary to be in the asset column for family, neighborhood, community, country, Mother Earth, the rest of the world. As strong as a family in America is, makes a strong country, which makes a strong pillar of identifiable independence and rugged individualism as a beacon of light for the rest of the world. And on my Facebook, my global communication, my friends in Germany and France and Spain and Ireland and Scotland and Japan and Australia and New Zealand, they are shattered that America thinks that this guy in the White House represents the spirit of America or a legal election. I know I'm all over the map here, but what I'm talking about is Jesse celebrates the foundation of family, a strong family. Rocco's my son. He's a strong man. He has a true north compass setting. You've articulated that and you've celebrated that with my son, Hassan, but we're not alone. That's still the pulse of majority of America. But right now with government, media, Fauci punks, the big tech fact checker liars, Hollywood weirdos, and academia thinking that heterosexuality is bad. All these forces against us, they just happen to have the biggest megaphone. They don't represent the pulse of our fellow man. You and I and Jesse and Rocco, hardworking people with a conscience and a soul and a spirit to be the best that we can be so that we're in a position to help our fellow man. That is alive and well, but you'd never know it based on Zuckerberg or based on Biden or based on Zelensky or based on Putin. So I'll settle it there. You have a grin on your face, which means that I have accurately identified enough positive to see us through all this negative. And now I will rest my case.
I mean, it's just audio gold. It's just like, you pray, just don't ever stop. Just keep on going. It's just so amazing. I mean, absolutely. And, I think that with everything that's going on with this whole, we were talking earlier in the show about Disney, talking about they're against this whole thing that DeSantis is doing.
Well, they're lying. They're lying. In the bill, it never uses the word gay, and they're lying and saying you're not allowed to say gay. Nobody's not allowed to say gay. Gay, 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 gay. Cool, no problem. Right. Gay, homosexuality, lesbianism, no problem. If you've got gender confusion, we pray for you. But no law has ever said you can't say gay. The other side is one big, toxic, horrible lie. They lie, they lie, they lie. So again, as I've even articulated ugliness, I still have a really broad smile on my face because I know they're lying. So I will never succumb to their lies. And more people need to turn in their brain and identify that as they lie, 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 lie. Fauci, the devil god of liars. He's a liar. The CDC, liars. FDA, liars. FBI, liars. Are you kidding me? Who can't see this? You have to literally be, and for those people that think I'm crazy, let me put it in your terminology. They're mindless sheep sticking their nose up the ass of the sheep in front of them, just blindly following status quo, which is always a curse.
Yeah. Amazing. Absolutely. 100%. I mean, you can't say it any better. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about too how it's causing like, even Newsom here in California. I mean, I'm living, in Hollywood, and it's a complete ghetto. I mean, there's just, the crime has gone up, out of control. The homeless everywhere. And Newsom.
It's cultivated. It's done on purpose.
Right.
They are engineering the lowest common denominator to be the most visible. If you want to find needles and feces in the street, an exploding violent crime rate, move to a Democrat city. Now, don't ask why they would do that, because nobody really understands why evil is evil. All we know is that evil is evil.
Yeah.
Do you really want to know why Hitler wanted to kill all those Jews? I don't care why he did it. The guy was evil, and we must never let it happen again. And when it comes to Newsom, and when it comes to Gretchen Whitmer, and when it comes to all these rhinos, Republicans with no soul, and the Democrats that are just pure rot, if we succumb to that, you will get homelessness. You will mistreat the mentally deficient, the people who have genuine mental illness. They are literally cast away to shoot heroin into their veins and die prematurely, because that's the Democrat policy. Every blue smudge in America, exploding violent crime, exploding victimization, exploding feces and needles in the street, explosive homelessness. If you want that, you don't have to move to, downtown Bangladesh. You can just move to LA. So this is a real horrible story. So here's the most important thing. People listening right now, you know that Jesse, and you know Hassan, and I hope you can grasp that I stand for good over evil. If you don't vote, if you don't do your duty as an American, that the heroes of the military died to provide for you, if you don't vote God, family, country, law, and order, you've got Nancy Pelosi controlling your life. How insane is that?
The worst. That's
the worst.
Satan herself. That's Satan. That is the real deal Satan. So, yeah, I want to ask Rocco. So the last time you were in LA, and, just kind of what was your overall vibe of like how much it's changed over the, years?
Man, I feel like there's this spark that I came to love about LA that was gone. And
you should have seen it in 1967 when I got there. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah, and I hear this from people who knew it prior to the slow decay that has happened. And kind of slightly segue to what you just said. It's like I saw this visual metaphor as like, the father and the son is upward. The whole thing is about up. What do we do with crops? What do we do with our soul? What do you do when you grow? Do you grow up? Yeah, we want to grow. And then basically the inverted version of that is Lucifer and Satan, and they're growing down, they're decay, they are destruction. And you see this kind of hashtag in the spiritual community of like false light, and they talk about the deceptor. And I've tried to resist this guy's spewing exhibit A, 31-year monologue that I've been next to, and I'm like, I don't know, he's my dad, so he might be wrong about these things. I don't know, there's some Democrats out there that are probably good people. And then as soon as they expose this kind of fullness of, I think the core of it that I've noticed at least is its acceptance, its acceptance as the guise of a virtue signaling, that I'm actually more moral than another person. So it's not actually virtue in actuality. It's virtue only because of an egoic desire to be socially hierarchically higher, which is in this physical world. If you want to only be in this world, it's like that's where the false light goes. So there's all these democratic kind of like programs that are just decaying people's minds as to what is real. You can't get high through these drugs or through these pleasure programs or through these socially hierarchical placings, and yet that's where their entire kingdom, their false kingdom, tries to bring people into. and it makes people depressed and lonely and disconnected from the true light, from their actual soul that is inextricably connected to source, to God, to the actual love that bonds us all. And they don't live in that love. They live in this fear, this lack, this separateness. They actually emphasize our separateness. And all of these different, you just call them programs, they all manipulate our brothers and sisters into hyper identifying our separateness. Well, what do you mean? Which one of these genders are you? Hyper emphasize that. Hyper emphasize where you're from. Hyper emphasize what you look like, and it ultimately just keeps separating us. Anybody who hasn't seen the new Batman movie, go see it. It's got a lot of codes in it about justice, and I don't think vengeance is ultimately the end all be all, just like anarchy doesn't necessarily provide a replacement, even though it might be helpful if something's really shitty. But the whole Batman thing, there's codes in it about bringing lies to the light, and it can't not happen. You have to bring light to this lie that is trying to hide itself in the shadows. So
amazing, man. Nah, 100%. I want to ask, so with everything that's going on with with Biden doing this whole sanctions or whatever, and the gas, and obviously now he's talking about there's gonna be a food shortage. Yesterday he said, oh yeah, it's absolutely gonna be a food shortage, whatever. And then there's some stupid dumb lady talking about gas prices really aren't even that high, and they're gonna get higher, but you just gotta deal with it. And then Newsom giving out welfare checks for gas, not fixing the problem, just making people dependent on him to, the Democratic way. So I'm just want to ask you this. Have you heard about this, that China is buying up American farms?
Yeah, China and Bill Gates, yeah. And they're also buying up entire neighborhoods and communities at exorbitant, exaggerated values. And then now they own the housing, they own food production. And again, a lot of people go, that's ridiculous, because conspiracy theory, people wouldn't do that. Well, maybe Hassan, people should examine the Trail of Tears. A lot of people listening right now probably haven't the faintest idea what I'm talking about when I mentioned the Trail of Tears, where the United States government marched the Native Americans back and forth across the country because they kept finding, valuable mineral deposits and resources in the reservations. So they would uproot the Native Americans, march them back and forth from Oklahoma to Florida, from Florida to North Carolina, until the United States government killed them all. Maybe somebody ought to look up the rape of Nanking.
What was the Donner's Pass?
Or Donner's Pass. Donner's Pass was just stupidity, where people didn't pay attention to Mother Nature's power and tried to go across the Sierra Nevadas during the winter, and they ended up eating each other because you just don't go where there's going to be blizzards guaranteed and no food or water.
But also, to your point of pay attention to people who are trying to warn you about these obvious signposts along the way.
I'm warning,
Turn back, wrong way.
Yeah.
And it's like these glaring signs that, this doesn't work. It's never worked. These things, as soon as this and then this and then this, these patterns of a government or these patterns of a people show up, it's like warning lights. And there's several people around the cultural ethos, trying to warn people. I love watching Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk.
The best.
And I even love Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson. I love someone like Joe Rogan, who is like, I think Joe Rogan's so famous and popular right now because he's normalizing skepticism, discernment.
And open communication, working with skepticism and working with alternative ideas. Right now, Joe Biden's not my president. Candace Owens is my president.
Yeah. I feel like you're our president.
Well, I tell you, I'm just a stupid guitar player, but I've paid close attention to my wonderful gift of life from God every day for 73.5 years. And I've been clean and sober for 73.5 years, which means my gifts from God actually work.
Yeah.
I can form syllables. I might be the only guitar player in America that can form syllables. And I'm exaggerating for impact, but my point is there's a lot of guys who thought that comfortably numb was okay, and they're either dead or drooling, and they're not an asset to their family, they're a liability. They're not an asset to their fellow man, they're a liability. We just lost Taylor Hawkins, just a gifted young man who was on top of the world, making more money than probably all of us combined. Not that that's a determining factor, but it's an element of your success and your control of independence in life. And instead of using it with respect and honor, and again, God bless my friends in the Foo Fighters, and God bless Taylor Hawkins' family, especially his wife and daughter, who now don't have a father or husband, because I believe he thought getting high was more important than love. I told John Belushi he was going to die. 27? I told Keith Mooney was going to die. I mean, obviously, you're going to die, I'm going to die, but you don't have to do it tomorrow. And if you get drunk and stoned enough, you will die prematurely. All those so-called peers in the rock and roll world, I told most of them to stop. Bon Scott, Jimi Hendrix. I said, you can't keep doing this. You stink. You're drooling. You just fell down. You can't form a syllable. These are not good indicators of quality of life. Not between you and me. How about between you and your mom? How about between you and your bandmates who rely on each other to deliver a product, a spirit, an art? So I could go on, which I'm really good at, because I really value every day that God gives me. But the great Apache chief said, and I study the Native Indians all my life, these Aboriginal spirit warriors are a guiding light in my musical world, my attentiveness, stealthy, reasoning predator lifestyle. I'm a hunter, fisherman, trapper. I kind of live like Crazy Horse and Cochise. I hunt with the bow and arrow, because that origin of Zen, that martial arts of being the path of your life, you don't shoot an arrow, you become the path of your arrow if you use God's gifts reverentially and to the best of your ability. Archery really is a soul cleanser and a spirit pathway. And I learned that from the Aboriginal people. My point being is that God has given us everything we need today. And if you put drugs and alcohol and tobacco and stupid non-food in irresponsible quantities, you just got to be kidding me. Why didn't they teach this in school?
Yeah.
Why don't they teach hygiene and health and spiritual awareness and the physics of spirituality, and that Old Yeller, when he brings you your slippers, you give him a biscuit. When Old Yeller foams at the mouth, you shoot him in the head. These are both legitimate pursuits. Good benefit, evil neutralize. And a lot of people are offended even by me saying things like that, because they've so safeguarded their ignorance that they don't want any information to come in to mess with their comfort zone. A lot of comfort zones are terminal and dangerous. Taylor Hawkins, Jimi Hendrix, Bon Scott, so many of my friends. All right. I just can't see poisoning our sacred temple. How about nobody in any school in America ever told the kids, this is your sacred temple?
Yeah.
God gave you a sacred temple. You must fuel it with respect.
All right.
So many issues.
Well, and that goes back to kind of the example, I think, because like my father, I never saw my father do a drug or drink, so I've never done a drug or drink. So I really connect with that whole sober concept. And Rocco would always say, like, you remind me of my father in these ways, and maybe it's that way. Maybe that sober aspect. But
And you're both Sagittarius, I think.
Right.
You need to get yourself a bow and arrow, Hassan. You haven't Sagittarius to the peak yet.
Well, that's the next thing I want to ask you is about this food shortage. There's never a time more that I want to come down to Texas and come learn how to grow food and learn how to do it myself.
Well, we do grow food, and God grows food, and he grows it in such a miraculous, renewable fashion that if you follow the great Aboriginal spirit, the spirit of the wild, the spirit of the buffalo, the spirit of the physical miracle, and you can become one with whether it's old-fashioned archery equipment or modern archery equipment. If you direct and become one with the physical, you don't have to rely on a beef farmer. You can take God's miraculous venison in a responsible, clean, reasoning predator fashion. That's all the Nugent family, that's what we eat. Now, Rocco is a vegan, and some of my friends are vegan, which is fine, which leaves more rabbits for me. They eat the rabbit food, I eat the rabbit. So the point is that there will never be a food shortage at the Nugent house.
Amazing.
We have unlimited turkeys and wild hogs and antelope and deer and squirrels and rabbit and ducks and geese and doves. We have unlimited pantry of God's miraculous creation. And as a reasoning, conscientious predator, I balance those populations every natural season of harvest. And so they will always thrive. We have so much wildlife on our property. And quite honestly, all across America, there's more turkeys in America right now than ever in recorded history. And turkey season's coming on, and it's a thunder chicken. It's the best meat in the world.
Amazing. Man, thank you guys so much. Is there a way you can just hold for 1 minute and then we'll
Sure.
wrap up? We'll wrap up?
Easy.
Okay, thank you so much. Amazing. We'll be right back. Amazing. We are back with Manhood Hour, and we just had an amazing conversation with Ted and Rocco Nugent. We are having a Spirit of the Wild conversation. It is truly the Spirit of the Wild. I just want to wrap up with you guys, but at first I want to say thank you again so much for being, for my first ever show and in this kind of medium. For this to be, happening is like beyond a blessing, and, I'm super grateful and thankful. So, that's
Well,
first
it's
and
good to
foremost.
call you a friend. You're doing a fine job. I'm sure Jesse is proud of you. And truth, logic, and common sense should be the guiding light. It always has been for Jesse. That's why people come to share communication with him. And you're carrying that on. So a big salute to you, Hassan. And we look forward to hanging with you and maybe breaking some bread or some venison backstrap sometime. But I love my son, Rocco. I love my children, my grandchildren. I love my incredible spiritual wife, Shemaine. She is my soulmate. And I love my American dream. And it's alive and well out there. To everybody who are getting depressed and hurt and saddened and scared by the ugliness in the world today, we are the great white buffalo. We are the spiritual warrior. Look at that storm. Don't be afraid of the storm. Turn into the storm. Have an attitude. Be tough. Be brave, both men and women and everybody else. You can take on any storm that life throws your way. And this is a test right now. So be stronger than ever and keep that middle finger on fire and be defiant against evil and let your positiveness overwhelm all the negativity. You can do it in your living room, at the workplace, at church, at school, at the firing range, at the bowling alley. You can do it wherever you are. Find the great white buffalo inside of you and take on the storm and enjoy the storm. It can be fun if you know you can break through and train other people and educate other people and pray for other people to be strong with us, because America still is the only experiment in self-government in the history of the world. Study the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and demand accountability from our elected employees. That's the hope.
Man, that's so true. And that made me think of one more thing really quick. Because of all that's going on with the gas and the food shortage and everything, and causing people to get into this hysteria and wildness. And I also think it's interesting that we're going to protect the borders over in Ukraine and leaving our borders wide open. And I just read something here that Iraq builds a wall along Syrian border to block Islamic State jihadis. Even Iraq, which my father's from and came over to America. And I remember you told me a story the first time I ever met you. You said, because my grandfather was killed by Saddam Hussein. And I remember you said that you had Thanksgiving dinner with the,
with the army captain who dragged Saddam out of the hole in the ground. And I've actually got some of Saddam Hussein's cigars.
Wow.
they commandeered some cigars and some bad Iraq money. But yes, I get to hang with those warriors. So I know that freedom is not free. And I know that good must overcome evil. And you can't do it with a handshake and a hug. You need to have peace through superior firepower and the elimination of the glaring evil that we're surrounded by. Right here at home. That's the heartbreak.
Yep. And it's amazing that even the Iraqis are building a wall from
walls
Islamic
work.
Terrorists. Yeah.
I have an intellectual wall around my property. The word is well known in the world, in the United States, that you don't trespass on Ted Nugent's property. The consequences will be dire. That's the message that our government should be sending. Do not invade our property. Right now, the president, our government is orchestrating the invasion of our country. Let me make sure everybody realizes what I just said. The United States government is orchestrating the invasion of our country. Instead of securing our borders, the government is orchestrating the invasion of Syrians, of jihadists, of MS-13, of terrorists, known terrorists, Somalian terrorists. They're coming through our borders because of Uncle Sam. Damn Uncle Sam.
And that's a macro that a lot of people have very little control over that happening. But what we do have control over happening, what everybody watching this has control over happening, is what we let into our own emotional, mental, spiritual borders at our home. What's our family like? What's our diet like? What kind of media are we taking in? What kind of music are we listening to? There's so many programs coming out of Hollywood that are meant to destroy our spiritual identity and cause us to decay from the within, from the innards of ourselves. And then the outside is easier to fall apart.
Yep. We're being invaded spiritually. Have a strong spiritual border.
Yes. And so when you say that, I just told my friend was talking about the homeless people in LA, and I said, yeah, there's a lot of physically homeless people, but there's more spiritually homeless people.
Yes, absolutely. Well said, Hassan.
And it's amazing, man. But so I thank you guys again. Do you guys have anything going on, or you want to promote, or?
Well, I'll tell you, I have a brand new record coming out called Ted Nugent Detroit Muscle, and it is the A10 warthog of love songs. It is just a grinding Motown firestorm of intense rhythm and blues rock and roll. Ted Nugent 2022, Detroit Muscle. And the first song is a song called Come and Take It. It's a love song to Joe Biden and Beto O'Rourke. If they want to take away our guns, start with me.
Oh, amazing. Oh, man, I love that. I can't wait to hear that. Yes. Rocco?
Man, I'm just grateful to connect with you. Grateful for this moment to feel brotherhood and alignment and clarity and discernment, and use this beautiful thing called life and freedom in a wise way. Grateful for that.
And Hassan, if people want to learn to be prepared for evil, here's a great book by Andy Andrews called How Do You Kill 11 Million People? It's hard to take, but if you don't prepare for the storm, you'll lose your barn. So it's a great book that'll teach us of the criminality and the rot of mankind, how to identify it, how to prepare for it, and how to fight back. How to Kill 11 Million People by Andy Andrews. It's ugly, but it's true, and you've got to be aware that there are good dogs and there are rabid dogs. Don't let your children play with rabid dogs. Important book.
Wow. Amazing. Thank you so much. I love you guys both. I'm super thankful, and yeah, I mean, basically, the show's over after this.
May the great spirit be forever at your side. God bless America, and God bless all the positive people. But make sure you're registered to vote. God, family, country, Constitution, Bill of Rights, law and order, because all the pain and suffering is because people who have those values haven't voted. And I know we're scared that the votes don't count. We're going to fix that. But if you don't vote in America, evil wins. We need to vote our core values. There's a quality of life that comes from those core values. And if you don't vote it and hold your elected employees accountable, they'll walk all over you. I give you the White House.
I rest my case. Amazing. Okay, God bless you guys, and thank you again.
All right, live it up. God bless America. God bless you and your family, Hassan. Hope to see you soon.
Yes, sir. All right.
Amazing. And don't forget to like, follow, tweet, subscribe, and share the Jesse Lee Peterson radio show, folks. We really appreciate it. We are at war. It is a spiritual battle for the soul of America. And it's going to take all of us to do it.